Afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to our KETIV AVA Autodesk Virtual Academy AEC Lunch and Learn.
Correct.
Wow, that was a mouthful. Thanks for logging on and spending some time with us today. My name is Eric Curtola, Territory Account Manager here at KETIV. With me, I've got my friend and AEC Solution Engineer, Fred Ortiz. Today's topic, InfraWorks 360. It's a relatively new technology from Autodesk. It's been around for a couple of years. I know they've added a lot of improvements to it, but it's going along that whole theme of just really helping our customers design more efficiently and have a more connected workflow with consultants or other people inside the firm. Fred, why don't you tell us a little bit about InfraWorks 360, or I guess before that, what the agenda is going to look like for today?
All right, so before we move on to the agenda for you Star Wars fans out there, may the 4th be with you today. And let me just jump into that agenda right now for you guys.
We're going to be with you about 30 to 35 minutes today. We'll leave some time, 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A at the end. Feel free to go ahead and just type any questions you guys might have in the chat box of the GoToMeeting, and we'll be sure to address those before we get out of here today.
Right, so as far as our agenda today, we're going to talk a little bit about what is InfraWorks 360, what is its capabilities. Then we'll talk about why you guys should be using InfraWorks 360 on your project. And then we'll talk a little bit about the new, well, actually we'll talk about the 2017 features of InfraWorks 360 with you guys. And then, like Eric told you guys a little bit earlier, we're going to finish off with some Q&A. So let's go ahead and jump right into our presentation now. Let's jump into our first topic. So what is Autodesk InfraWorks 360? So InfraWorks 360 it's a visual 3D design tool and a communication platform for civil engineers, designers. We threw in architects because we think architects can use it, and land planners. So what this software allows you to do is to build context for your designs, create, explore, and evaluate your designs right there on the fly, envision and understand the implications and impacts of your design to the environment, explore multiple alternatives of your design, maybe for a proposal or a presentation. And then the big thing is you can share and develop better designs through collaboration in the cloud, so like a live design review via A360, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I like to add, I like to think of like InfraWorks as almost like a more powerful version, or like a powerful in-between between like a SketchUp tool like that, where you can quickly convey a conceptual design, and then a civil 3D, where you've got detailed design. So it's got a lot of functionality and the power of civil 3D, although it's essentially as easy to use as a SketchUp. You don't really have to have a CAD background, and it automates a lot of those things for you.
Yeah,
which we'll get into.
Yeah, so just speaking on that really quick, I think Autodesk did a survey recently where they asked about the software and the ease of use, and InfraWorks 360 was on top of that list as far as easy to use and learn off the bat.
So even someone like you could use it.
Yeah, even someone like me, exactly. All right, so why would you want to use InfraWorks 360 at your firm? So the thing with InfraWorks 360 is it lets you hit the ground running with a nearly instant model of existing conditions with the data it possesses, and it also lets you add data from tons of different sources or create your own data on the fly. And this allows you to quickly create major features like roads, buildings, grading, etc., and then easily turn your preliminary design into an impressive presentation or proposal for a consultant or a customer. Something like that. And then it also gives you that ability to get critical design answers through analysis right there on the fly. And then, like we talked about earlier, you can share design and collaborate with anyone via the A360 cloud platform.
Okay, so if I'm understanding this correctly, in other words, because it's helping me design faster and it automates, which we'll show you guys a little bit later, I think it's in the presentation, but it automates infrastructure modeling. I therefore have time to explore more design alternatives quickly.
Exactly, yeah. The tool's really cool, so it lets you manipulate your design on the fly, change it, make it better, make it smaller, larger, whatever you got to do, and it's pretty simple to use. Fantastic. All right. So when we talk about the building context for your designs, what this software does, it allows you, well, first off, a design requires context, right? So instead of spending a lot of time building your context yourself, this software allows you to do it for you. So InfraWorks 360 does it for you. And so once you start your project with context in place, as you see in the video on the PowerPoint, you can add more context using your own sources of data, or you can jump online or something like that and find other sources such as like OpenStreetMap or some GIS data from another source.
Right, so essentially once I log on to InfraWorks, I can just type in a location and looking at a couple people here. I know in the LA area. So let's say I want to say 405 in Sepulveda. I can just take a section of a road corridor off there, type a name for it, email it to myself, or set an email in there in the cloud, so it's not slowing down my machine.
Right.
And then I'll get a notification once that section of infrastructure has already been modeled.
Right.
I can download it and start from there.
Right. You could do it that way, and also you could also collaborate it with another user, like during a live design review.
Or
so
I can invite multiple people to it, and they know when it's done, and vice versa.
Vice versa, yeah. So it's a really cool tool. What else? It also allows you to InfraWorks 360 to create designs quickly sketch 3D features like we were talking about, such as roads, graded areas, pavement, and buildings. You could also add details such as structures, vehicles, people, or pretty much any 3D model you can find out there online. And then you could also adjust the date and time to get the effect you want as far as sunlight, daylighting, stuff like that. So it allows you to do that on the fly as well, as you see in the video. And building on creating designs, it also allows you to create items like roads, rail, bridges, and storm piping using true engineering methodologies and approaches in the industry, as you see in the video that's taking place right now. You can design quickly with the built-in automation based on industry design standards and rules. You can design the way an engineer would actually design a project with recognizable terms and procedures all built into the InfraWorks 360 software. It's like what you're seeing right there with the bridge. It's all built into InfraWorks 360.
Gotcha. And then, so again, just designing things quickly, being able to move these things, pick and grab, something that's really intuitive and not something necessarily someone with a CAD background needs. But
Right.
Because it is smart, it's intelligent data,
3D data.
like a Civil 3D tool, or like a Revit model, I can then perform analytics off of that.
Correct.
So I think one of the, probably the word pitfall you might see in something like SketchUp or another tool like that is once you have that object, the conceptual design is conveyed really well and quickly, which is great, but you necessarily can't do a lot with it from there.
Right.
With a tool like InfraWorks, not only are you able to design quickly and get that, convey that design intent in real context, but now I can take it to, maybe give it to a structural person in my civil.
Exactly, yeah, we'll touch more on that down the road, but yeah, you automatically send your design to a structural guy to keep detailing it on, to make it further and further in the submittal process.
Right. Down the road, pun intended there?
Yeah, down the road. I like that one. All right, so moving on. With InfraWorks 360, animations and still images allow you and others to explore your designs like we talked about, Eric and I, right now. So that allows you to view your designs in a stunning 3D format. You can create animations pretty much in seconds by selecting a few key views and then letting InfraWorks 360 do the rest. So the key we keep saying is let InfraWorks 360 do it for you, handle all this stuff, so you don't have to waste time on your end doing this kind of preliminary work, and then it'll focus on giving you more time for the detailed design. And what it also allows you to do is quickly create rendered images with the powerful onboard rendering engine inside the software. And this is pretty cool because you don't really need any kind of rendering or visualization experience required, such as with something like 3ds Max. This right here, you can automatically do it in here, and it's built in, and it's really easy to do and present. So it's really cool.
Okay, and again, it's cloud-based, right?
Cloud-based.
So when it's doing these renderings, it's not slowing up my machine.
Actually, it's rendering in the software.
Okay.
So it is in the software. So.
Okay. Oh, thanks for the clarification there.
Okay.
And then, Fred, can you pause that? Do we have time for a quick question?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. This one comes in from Katie. She asked, can I import a SketchUp model into InfraWorks 360?
Oh, hey, Katie. So with SketchUp, you can import that into InfraWorks 360. You wouldn't be able to just drag and drop it in. You'd actually have to export it to an SKP file or a SKP file, yeah, to bring that in, and then you could import it in InfraWorks 360 using their data source panel. But you can do that if you want, but also there's also the model builder within InfraWorks 360 that will create similar stuff for you right there in the fly in the software.
Okay.
If you want to bring it in, you can.
So when you say similar stuff, I'm thinking like infrastructure, like the topography of the Earth.
Yeah.
Can it also automate buildings?
Yeah, you could also populate your model with buildings that are in the model builder that are already there, and then you could also go to other sources and get a model, or you can actually bring in a Revit model if you have to.
Okay, so if the existing conditions has skyscrapers or an office building, it already shows up there. So there's essentially no need for SketchUp.
For rework, yeah, there's no need. But if you want your exact design to come in, yeah, you could bring in SketchUp or Revit. But there's a lot of buildings and data in there for you already to use.
Gotcha. Katie, that was kind of a long-winded answer, but hopefully it answered your question.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
All right, so as far as evaluating designs, with InfraWorks 360, you can know how your design is performing in real time. You can determine elevations, distances, and volumes whenever you want. With the visual analytics, they make it easy to understand design performance for almost everybody, even Eric. So you could use the cloud. Also, like Eric was talking about, you could use the cloud to perform powerful analytics and optimizations, like you were talking about. And what it does, it allows you to interact in real time with those analytics and design values to adjust your design to meet the criteria. And then what the most important part is, it'll allow you to know the cost up front with real-time quantities as you're doing these preliminary designs.
Okay. Again, so the whole benefit of using an intelligent model, right?
Yeah.
We're designing up front. We're making the changes up front when they're less costly.
Yeah.
We're able to explore a lot of different alternatives. I'm getting the stakeholders engaged, getting their buy-in early on with realistic renderings and presentations.
Yeah, so you're making those big decisions earlier, when it costs less to do instead of down the road when it costs a whole lot more.
Like when we're doing things on the fly.
Right. Yeah. So also too with InfraWorks, you can explore multiple design alternatives just because of the ease and use of the software. So when exploring multiple alternatives quickly with less ease and speed of InfraWorks 360 design tools, so all the tools are right there for you to use. It's easy to learn, and if you have multiple designs you need to present to a customer or to a building owner, you could do it right there on the fly. Create those two presentations. And then you can also store these alternatives as proposals maybe down the road, which can be called up at any time if the owner or the contractor or consultant wants to see them.
Gotcha.
So you can save those on A360 or locally.
Fred, a couple more questions here. I'm just kind of scanning the GoToMeeting
just
here.
Do like one at a time.
Well, they're both on the same thing.
Okay.
InfraWorks and Civil 3D, how they work together. I think we have a portion of that, but essentially how I bring the model from InfraWorks 360 into Civil 3D. Is that something we're going to hit on, or should we?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a bit, but it's pretty easy to do. Just export it to Civil 3D, and it all shows up in there.
Okay.
And then you could actually do your more detailed design in Civil 3D.
Okay, so we'll touch on that more. I think it's Brian and Andy. I'm just squinting here. Okay.
All right, so let's move on. Did I go too far? That question?
No, you're okay. Sharing and collaboration, I think, is where we left off of.
All right, so with InfraWorks 360, you can invite, like we were talking about the collaboration portion, you can invite collaborators to help you develop your models in live design review. You can publish your models to the web so that anyone can view them at any time, anywhere, and provide feedback on your design, maybe do some markups on it or something like that, just to make it a lot better. Then you could take your models into the field to envision your design on that actual site you found on InfraWorks, and you can do that with the InfraWorks 360 iPad app, which is available for free in the Apple Store. So you're not stuck in your office. You could actually take it on the field, view your models there at the site, and kind of see how they're going to look in real life to maybe show your building owner or your consultant.
Yeah, that's got to be a powerful tool. You can actually show someone, the actual building or city there.
With your Google Earth under it and everything like that. It's pretty cool. All right, so then this might touch upon what you were talking about, Eric. So what you can do in InfraWorks, you can generate pretty much Civil 3D drawings from a road model from InfraWorks by bringing that into Civil 3D. So it creates design drawings plus an entire sheet set for you. You can then open up InfraWorks 360 models in AutoCAD Civil 3D, easy like that. You can just open them right up and view what you did for your preliminary design, and then move on to the more detailed portion. You could also leverage other applications like Civil 3D's structural bridge design, storm design, and sanitary analysis. And then you could finally visualize your final design in InfraWorks. So you could go back and forth. You could come in, take it from InfraWorks to Civil, and then come back with a more detailed design to show in your model to give that proposal out.
Gotcha. So if I lay something out, Civil 3D or even AutoCAD, I can essentially bring in that DWG
Exactly.
and bring it into InfraWorks.
Right.
And I can see my utilities laid out or whatever it might be in real context, and
Exactly.
I still get those visuals.
Yeah, and that's one of the new features that has been added to 2017, where you could actually take a 2D AutoCAD drawing and kind of overlay it in. We'll talk about that soon.
Okay, cool.
And soon is now. So with InfraWorks 360 2017, there's been some stuff added to the new version. So you're getting more design context, which is more data available for your design, like buildings, roads, terrain, stuff like that. You have the extreme interoperability, which is cool between the Autodesk software such as Civil 3D, Revit, etc.
It's extreme, huh?
Extreme, yeah, super extreme. And then you get the more detailed engineering capabilities that are built in to help the engineers. And we also got this thing called mobility simulation, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then the user interface power-up, which just means the user interface has been enhanced, a lot easier to access your tools in one place, and we'll touch upon that right now. All right, so with the model builder improvements, there was a huge update to the OpenStreetMap vector data, which is a site that provides freely reusable geospatial data for your design. So there's been updates to that, so you'll get more buildings in your model off the bat, and you'll get more actual terrain data that's accurate, if you see right there on the screen.
Okay, so I guess before maybe it wasn't as updated or as current, and now they've...
Yeah, well, it's just like anything, it gets better with time. Things are updated, things are added, so the newer version has a lot more data to work with than the previous versions.
Gotcha. So more automated for me. Good to
Right,
hear.
exactly. And then this is what I just talked about a few minutes ago with the 2017 version. You can now overlay a DWG drawing into your InfraWorks 360 model, as you see on the screen. So this will give you full control over the location, the scale of the drawing, and the rotation. You also have some correlation tools available, and then you can also control the opacity, make it lighter, darker, whatever you got to do, and then control the display order of your utilities, kind of like on the screen how it shows. It's typical AutoCAD command display order, so you can kind of bring things to the front or to the back to make them show a little bit better in your presentation.
Gotcha.
All right, here's another one we kind of talked about earlier with the question. So now what you can do with InfraWorks, if you look on the screen, you could actually send a bridge to Revit by easily just clicking on the bridge, doing a right click, and send it directly to Revit. It's that easy. So what that does, the Revit content is built automatically, and the Revit application opens up for you to continue on and continue forward with more detailed structural design, and then possibly some analysis down the road, which structural engineers do. So it's a pretty cool tool. It's just a right click, send. There's your Revit model. The guy can start working on it and jamming on it and getting his stuff done for the submittal.
Gotcha, and I got to hit on that because I think that's really important.
That's
I
great.
keep hammering it home, but again, something like a SketchUp tool, or even I think Insight 360 or Form 360, Autodesk tools, you don't necessarily have that sort of connectivity or connected workflow like you do with InfraWorks 360.
Right.
The structural engineer doesn't have to go and design something in Revit or look for a similar bridge. You can actually use that bridge.
Yeah, from the data that's already been included with the software. So it just kind of helps you to get that to there easy. Like everybody wants that one button magic button to get your model somewhere, and InfraWorks 360 has that. So
great.
All right, let's talk a little bit about roundabouts in Civil 3D. So when opened in Civil 3D and InfraWorks 360 Roundabout, it automatically becomes a corridor model. For those of you who are familiar with Civil 3D, and then it also offers you a vehicle tracking functionality for that roundabout, so you can take it to another software and do some tracking on that.
Yeah, and it doesn't actually even necessarily have to be the Autodesk product, vehicle tracking. I think there's a Bentley one called TurnSoft or Transoft, whatever it might be.
I don't know what you're talking about, Eric, but if you say so.
But yeah, not necessarily just Autodesk products.
Right,
You can export it somewhere else.
If you want to, but we prefer you not. All right, so moving on to more features. So with intersections and interchanges, there's greater complexity now. It's now possible to do more things such as merges, diverges, and weaving lanes. And this in turn improves your roundabout editing in the software and when you move on to Civil 3D or vehicle tracking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, also you have some traffic simulations. So there's finally some support for more configurations, including on and off ramps for freeways. That's now included in InfraWorks 360. Centered turn lanes, which are huge, especially if you're designing those. And then you can offset. There's offset roundabouts that are now included, so you can work with those easily now and then get them into your civil 3D design. Also, we have the mobility simulation, which is new, and what this does, this simulation allows you to analyze multiple modes of transportation all at once. For instance, something like transit, taxi ride sharing. I'm not quite sure about Uber yet, but I know taxi ride sharing is in there for now. Those Uber drivers can get crazy, so you really can't predict that. So you also have walking, cycling, and then once you have all this stuff, you can create animations for this and then determine the economic and environmental impacts your design is going to have on the environment.
Gotcha, yeah. So people, roads, bridges,
roads,
whatever.
bridges,
you
yeah,
can put it in there, and I can put it in the real context.
Exactly.
Any 3D model.
Any 3D model, yep. And then last but not least, this is the contextual stack, and this is the user interface power-up. So what this does, it replaces many of the, if you're familiar with older versions of InfraWorks, this pretty much replaces the individual asset cards and dialogues that pop up. So now your context is more sensitive and it's always visible. It's very highly customizable, kind of like AutoCAD is. And then you can now dock it to the right or the left of your screen, and all your tools are right there as you see on the PowerPoint. So it makes it a lot easier to find your tools, locate them, and customize them with the new 2017 version.
Gotcha.
All right, guys, so that's pretty much what we got for you on the overview of A360 InfraWorks and what's new in the software. Let's jump into our summary really quick and just kind of go over what we talked about during our live presentation and then we'll jump into our Q&A.
Gotcha. Yeah, so, I mean, that seemed pretty high level and
a
relatively quick kind of presentation. I guess just a good introductory course to give people an understanding of what it is.
Right.
From a high level, or I guess just in a nutshell, I'd sum it up as a tool that maybe helps architects, planners, civil engineers convey their design intent quickly, maybe do a lot of the preliminary engineering work, and explore a lot of different alternatives, because it does automate a lot of the infrastructure and detailed design that you might necessarily have to do in a Civil 3D or another tool. You're basically designing faster, accelerating your project deliverables, designing in real context.
Exactly. And the part I like about it is the rendering aspect. So if you need to get a proposal out or a presentation, you can use this right here, right then and now. Just go onto InfraWorks 360, find your site, throw a building there if you already have them done, and you can kind of make your proposal look stunning and amazing with that 3D model, the Google Earth kind of aspect behind it. So the presentations, proposals is pretty huge for me. I like that part.
Gotcha. Getting stakeholders engaged and then not necessarily having a ton of training time behind it. It seems like an easy learning curve.
Yeah, you don't have to go and learn 3ds Max or some other tool. You can just do it right here and get it done.
Okay.
So even marketing could probably even do this for a company if they wanted to.
Great. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Right.
Hopefully everyone else.
Right. All right, so Q&A time. If you guys have any questions, please type them in as we go. But we already have a couple. I think we have a couple left. A couple on here?
Yeah, let me scan it. There's a couple that came up. One that came up earlier in the design review. You might know this. When you're doing the design review for InfraWorks 360, when you publish the model in the cloud, do both those people need a license of InfraWorks? Or it's actually not a license, it's a subscription. But do they both need access to InfraWorks 360, or is it like A360 team?
I think it's like A360 team, but we could look into that further if you do need a license. But I don't think you do. I think if you're invited to the project to design review with it, you're allowed to get in there and access it.
Okay, gotcha. So Joseph, we'll get back to you on that one, Joseph. But yeah, I imagine that, like you said, it is like a collaboration for Revit or the other cloud-based collaboration tools. As long as someone invites you to that design review, someone who does have a subscription, then you're okay to participate that way.
Yeah, because you're just going onto a neutral site where you're doing that. You're not actually going to be able to use the InfraWorks 360 software that's on your computer.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense to me. Another question we have here from Anthony is...
Anthony, the boss?
No, not our boss, Anthony. A different one. Okay, InfraWorks, I'll let you jump on this because I know you answer us all the time. You get InfraWorks LT. It's the light version. Essentially doesn't have all the functionality of the full version of InfraWorks. When you have a suite of the infrastructure design suite, the premium, the one with Civil 3D, or the ultimate, the higher one. I guess what Anthony's question is, what's the difference, Fred? Can you sum that up in a nutshell? The difference between LT and then the full version of 360?
Yeah, so I would think that the big difference between the two are with the LT, you don't have that automated model creation, that model builder tool. So you're going to have to go ahead and make your models yourself to bring them into your InfraWorks. It's not just going to happen for you. They're not in the software. Also, you're limited in as far as you don't have any access to actual GIS data from USGS. You don't have access to OpenStreetMap, which is something you probably want, to get all those visual representations of the Earth to show. Those are the two main factors that I see the biggest difference in.
And one other thing I'd probably add is
collaboration.
Trying to look it up. Yeah, the cloud-based collaboration.
Yeah.
You don't have that with the LT. I don't think any of the LTs Autodesk offers gives you access to the cloud or managing or publishing models up there. But yeah, essentially, I think those are the differences. So hopefully that answered your question, Anthony.
Yeah, so you don't have the cloud access, plus you don't have access to the roadway, bridge, or drainage design tools as well. It's pretty much just a light version.
Gotcha. And then nobody asked this question, but I thought I'd go ahead and answer that or kind of address it. Fred, you mentioned roadway bridge design.
Mm-hmm.
So InfraWorks, the evolution in the last couple of years, they've actually, Autodesk, in our favor, has added more functionality for less price.
Mm-hmm.
So before it used to be a separate module for bridges, a separate model for roadway, separate model for drainage designs with all those kind of rules and tools. And I think they're each around $2,000 a piece. Now the newest InfraWorks 360, they changed it as of like February. You get all those in just one. There is no more separations. Same thing with Revit. There's no MEP or architecture. Right. You get it all in the one InfraWorks 360, and it runs about $1,500 a year for one person right now. Right. So more functionality, less price.
All right, one last question you want to touch? We have time for that?
Go ahead and read it to me.
All right, so
close my thing.
It's from Julie. Julie, can you bring a Revit model into InfraWorks 360? I think we kind of talked about that, or no?
Maybe we did. Go ahead and
I think we
address
talked
it again.
vice versa, yeah. But so with Revit, since it's not another Autodesk product, you can bring your Revit model, your actual design, into InfraWorks 360 and place it at the exact location where it's going to be built. So there are tools for that, and it's really simple with Revit. You could actually just drag and drop your Revit model into InfraWorks 360. Or you can go the other route and import it from the data source panel. But it's pretty much a simple drag and drop, Julie. Drag your model in, drop it, and then manipulate it to the orientation you want in your InfraWorks 360 model.
Gotcha. And then, yeah, like the same thing I mentioned again with SketchUp. You can even do it with SketchUp. There's an extra step. Right. But, yeah, pretty seamless.
Yeah, seamless.
Okay, so again, thanks for coming out and sharing about half hour of your lunch with us. What this is AVA, this Autodesk Virtual Academy. We kind of mentioned it last week when we rolled it out, but for those of you new who weren't with us last week, essentially what it is, it's every other Wednesday we do these sessions. They're free for anyone to attend, whether you're a customer or not. We'd prefer everyone here would be a customer,
right?
But yeah, we're going to do our best to kind of show you either new technology or existing technology that you guys are probably already using, and maybe tips and tricks and sessions on that every other Wednesday. So that's our commitment to you. About 25 times a year, we're going to do these things. You subscribe once, and you can go ahead and log on to the sessions that you guys find interesting or relevant. And again, there's no cost. If you guys do have any questions on the software or need to buy software in the future, I'd prefer you contact me right there at my information's on the screen, or let Fred, myself, anyone else here on the team let us know how we might be able to help.
Right. Yeah. And with that being said, thanks guys for attending our lunch and learn today. I hope you appreciated the topic we brought. It's a pretty good tool. It's really easy to use, like I said, easy to learn. So I hope you guys adopt it and go online. If you want to find a free trial version as well, you could go online and try that first before you want to buy it. So that's available online at Autodesk, and I think that's a wrap.
Great, yeah. Hopefully see you guys again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, have a great day, and
have a good afternoon.
May the 4th be with you. Bye-bye.